It's time. Let's begin. Oh, hold on. I have to tell it I'm going to continue. Okay. Thank you for your time. Good to see everybody. And then we're always grateful for the knowledge and the practice because it is the lineage. All right. Today we'll start with left foot forward. Basic positioning that we do every class, more or less. Right. Here, hands on the dantian, forward and back. Forward and back. Now, as always, when we start with this, we're starting with the roots. We're starting with the base layer. So you want to really put your mind into your feet and your ankles and your knees and your legs. How does the pushing feel? How does the pushing feel going forward and going back? And then what part of your foot is your weight focused on? Making sure that you're using the entire pad of the foot, so to speak, in a wave pattern. Now, taking this motion and adding the twist. The twist comes from the center and around. So you're actually drawing a figure eight with your hips. And this becomes the foundation for all of the movements that we do. And this is an important thing to think about once in a while. An analogy would be in the ocean. There's currents that move water at deeper levels, and then there's the currents that move at higher, more superficial levels, and then all kinds of in between. But a movement down deep in the ocean pushes water up, and then it becomes a wave when it reaches the surface. And no two waves are the same. But the movement from below is one large, consistent type of wave function. It's not going to be much different, but the surface level is all different types. So this is the lower part. This is the thing that stays consistent. Its movement is just this. But then the hands become like the waves. They become millions of different little possibilities for it to manifest. So the lower is set. Now let's explore the upper body from this movement. First thing is the right hand disconnects from the body and the elbow goes in a circle. Now, that elbow movement here can allow the forearm to extend out. So I'm going to extend out and come back. Extend out and come back. The elbow and the shoulder have this relationship of guiding the movement, but the expression is manifest, the wave is manifest in the hand. Now, the maximum position here is extension. Fingers bent very strongly upwards, slightly to the outside, not straight up, slightly to the outside. And then coming back is just to pull back at the beginning of the form, but horizontally, and push out again. So your hand is creating the wave comes forward and crashes, and then recedes. And it's all because of the movement from below. Now, we're going to make the movement bigger by the expression of the hand, not the lower body, right? So I'm going to go to the forward position, and as I come back, I'm going to pull my hand up and past my eye, and then down and push out forward again. It's the same movement, but it's bigger manifest element. And now go to the forward position, and this is a little trickier in a way. I come back at the same height, but then I drop and I come down with the fingers pointing down and up. Like this. So my palm is coming up this way, and then it rotates as I come back. But the elbow is actually doing the same motion. This is just a more complicated way to use the forearm, or a different way. And then come to the forward position, feet together, cleansing breath, breathe. Breathe out. Round the hips, push down. Round the toes, breathe in. Push it up, out, and down. Switch feet. Right foot forward. Forward and back to start. So, one of the ways you can think about what I'm trying to explain here right now is this layering of movement. The idea that it's a foundational layer and it's very consistent because it has to be, because there's only so many ways you can use feet and legs. And then there's the technique of the hands, which can manifest in multiple ways. This is where the martial arts like this have geometries that are sometimes called sacred geometry or whatnot. We see these incredible geometric patterns of triangles and squares layered and layered and layered and layered into each other. This is manifested in your body in these movements. So there's the foundation one would be like an X or maybe a basic triangle, and then there's the tons of layers you can add to it. So I'm going to come back to that. We'll do the exercise tomorrow, but I'm going to come back to that. That's an important thought. Now, turning to the side. So there's your foundation, right? And that movement allows the movement of the elbow to emerge on the left in this case. The circle that you draw with your elbow here because your hips are turned. And that movement yields, at least right now, 3 potentials. One is reaching and coming back at one horizontal level. So this is the middle. There's a high, middle, and a low body segments in terms of the concept here. This is the middle segment, the middle jaw. And now we're going to go to the upper jaw, the upper part, which means to come up to protect the head and then push forward again from the middle. But the movement below hasn't changed. And then we're going to protect the lower jaw, the lower part of the body. So we're going to come back, but we're going to protect it as we move forward. The palm will rotate so that the palm is coming up and pulling back. But really, only the forearm has changed. The elbow and the rest of the body hasn't. And then come back, feet together. One more cleansing breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Push down. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Now, I want to follow up that thought before we finish up, because this is an important, very important principle. I'm going to show you guys a picture. I just picked this out from my place because it stood out to me as like, this is an example of what I want to talk about with the geometry. So, you know that we talk about the idea that there's the 4 basic directions, and then there's the 8 when we get the 45-degree angles within a circle, right? Those are the basis movements here. Then you add layers and layers and layers upon that, and you get all the possible manifests. So this one stood out to me. And what these things are is they're geometric patterns. And you can see the basic cross, the X here, and then the 8 here, and then you layer and layer and layer and layer and layer more on top, right? So you've all seen these kinds of images, but this one stood out as a good one for because you can see the geometry we're talking about. This is all what's happening when we're doing the form. Your base is that foundational structure, and everything that comes out of it is these potentialities here. So it's not as complicated as it looked initially if you can really grasp the root, because the root stays consistent. Okay, so good. I'm glad I didn't forget that, because I feel like I would have forgotten that. So we covered it. Anyway, let's warm up the legs and stretch. So from here, shoulder width apart, hands like this. I want you to pick up this way and take a foot with you, left. And then we're going to kick forward and push our hands and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. 2. 3. 4. 5. And then the foot. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Now, one more for the hip. I'm going to come up with my left, turn out to the side, step heel, turn to the front. That's 1. You guys see my feet there? Well, make sure you can. So this is to really open up the hip joint. So here you can see my feet now. I come up, I turn out, I step, and I rotate on the heel forward again, back to where I started, okay? 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And the same thing the other way. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. One more bit of exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Shake it out and let's stretch. Put your feet out, sink down. Hands on the knees, pushing the knees out. And like a sumo wrestler before the match, kind of warming up the hips side to side. And then part of that is to really get your weight to root into your feet, right? And then turn your feet forward and push down at the hips, bring the elbows to the knees, and just sink as low as you can through your hips. Reach to the floor, fingertips down, sink even more. Twist your elbow to your knee and look up. Other way, look up. Up. Turn to the left. And I've been borrowing a couple of yoga postures in my classes for Tai Chi lately, so we're gonna do that, but warrior two. So it's the same stretch we always do. I'm just gonna give the hands a position. And whenever I do warrior two like this, I like to do the, I can't remember the name. Whatever it is, it's this. You tip, and you reach up with one hand from the back, and you look up and stretch here. So you're doing the same stretch with your legs, but now you've got a wonderful stretch for your shoulders too. And look up. It's important that you look up. And then hands down, heel up, hands up, sink down, runner stretch. Think about the beginning of the form, right? Holding your hands essentially in that position. Then down, lean forward through your hips. And then up, step back, Tai Chi stretch. Down. Hands to the middle. Straighten your back. Turn to the right. Warrior two. Tip and reach. Down. Leg up, runner stretch, sink. Weight down, push your hips forward. Come up. Step back to your left foot, Tai Chi stretch, sink. Hands to the middle. Work your feet. Straighten the back of your knees. Breathe in. Breathe out. Circle your hips. And the other way. Good. Shake it. So, hands in and open. Just like calm waves splashing, retrieving, receding. Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, breathe in. And extend. Pull your hands past your shoulders, so you're pulling your ribcage up and open. And then relax a little bit and spiral your wrists forward. And then your elbows. And then nice big circles right through the shoulders and crossing the body as they come down. But slow enough that you feel every part of the motion. Don't skip anything, right? Really aware, really mindful. Drop the arms. Up. Over. And now extend. And then spiral between the shoulders. 1, 2. Back to the extension. And now wrist backwards. Wrists and elbows backwards. And then big circles from the shoulders. And then drop the arms. Take a breath in and gather above the head. Throw it all away. 2 and 3. And reach up. Look up, stretch up. Project your energy through the ceiling, through the sky, the solar system, and then tippy toes, high as you can. Dive up, up, up. And then bring your heels down, cross your elbows, pull your elbow in tight, and twist. Down, up, and the other way. Down, reach up again. Now this time when you go on your tippy toes, turn your palms out this way. And really think of your thumbs going upwards. So look up, take a breath in, breathe out, tippy toes, palms out. Push your thumbs up, push your big toes down. And then bring your heels down. Turn your left palm up to the ceiling, grab it, twist, turn, and pull. And then come back to the center, grab the elbow itself, and pull the elbow behind it. Then drop the arms. Reach up. Right palm, grab, turn, and twist. Center, grab the elbow, and down. Shake it. Left-handed. Now, the best way to do this in many senses is that you start the wrist stretch with your elbow bent, and you put your other hand in position here, and then you're pushing outwards as much as you're pulling back in. So there's 2 motions going on at once. That's kind of important. Now, when I do that, I get to maximum extension, but this is mostly with kids, but you do want to make sure that you don't hyperextend your elbow, right? It's not, I don't want my elbow to get used to the idea of going on the natural point here. It's just to that natural extension, because kids will have these incredibly like double jointed elbows that kind of come up too far sometimes, so you don't want that. And then we come back in to relax everything so that the rotation can be done very, very easy on the body, and then push and pull again together. And then come in. Now, but just to reiterate that, these stretches are a dynamic push and pull. This stretch is not. This is just a stretch. Simply rotate the wrist as far as you can, keep the connection in all the joints, and just see how far it can go. And then today, I don't know how often I do this one in this class, so I'm going to cover it in detail to some degree. I'm going to take my left hand, and I'm going to rotate the elbow up and put my thumb down. Now the elbow has to come up, and you can think about eagle spreads and swings posture. It's basically that idea. Then I'm going to take my other hand, and I'm going to put with my thumb up, and I'm just like I'm shaking my own hand. I'm going to grab it at the fingers, twist the palm this way towards the ceiling, and push the elbow up and back at the same time. So the angle should be here beside you, like this, right? Yeah, it's a little tricky, but we'll get it. We'll get it. You'll see it. And then shake it up. So, right hand, ready, extend. In, rotate, extend. Remember that it's a push and a pull, push and a pull. So that would be a dynamic stretch, I guess you could say. And this is a passive stretch. The rotation, the joint relaxes completely. And now, again, up, thumb down. Elbow coming up behind you, like a eagle spreads its wings. Other hand grab, twist the palm to the ceiling and push the elbow up back behind you. So feel a stretch in your armpit. And give it a shake. We'll do it a few more times, you'll get the hang of it. Head side to side. Roll your chin, roll your chin, roll your chin, and roll your chin. Look forward, up, down, and swing. 1, 2, 3, other way. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'd like a drink of water. You can have a drink of water if you'd like as well. So, I was talking to my Qigong class before this class about this today, so I'll just share the quick version with this class too. A little bit of, you could call like traditional Chinese medicine theory on heat and dealing with heat when it happens. There's a relationship between blood and qi in the body. That is a yin and yang relationship. Blood is yin and qi is yang. And in this concept, this context, qi can be related to heat. So the heat is an energetic potential manifestation of qi, or whatever way you want to look at it. But blood then is the yin, it's the water, it's the cooling element. So when people overheat, what that usually means is there's too much heat or qi being built up in the upper body, and then the blood is cooling and getting stuck in the lower body. And so exercising can actually help this. Because what happens is that movement pushes the blood through the body, and that water or yin substance of blood can sort of grab onto the heat to flush it through, and it does it through sweating. But that movement really helps, because that stagnation it's like a mud puddle that gets too much sun and doesn't have any circulation. It just gets muddier and muddier and grosser. You don't want that. You want it to flush through. So that's one thing. But of course, you want to watch it. I wouldn't recommend like high-end cardio exercises. Just like Tai Chis are great for that. It helps you cool down. And the other one is a little trick that my teacher told me that just helps in general. I'm going to share it with everybody this week, even though the heat wave's passed. Is you get a do I have it here? No, like the classic hot water bottle, but fill it with cool water and then lay on it on your lower back here. Because the dantian is the heat emanating source in this concept. So you're cooling down the source of the body's heat radiating, and it helps quite a bit, I find, when I go to sleep. So there you go. I'll let it go with that. So back to training. Last week, I started introducing some basics in terms of fundamentals, and I was talking about that in the beginning of class with the idea of this movement. I want to explore that a little more today. So we're going to start with something that we're going to use a lot, and you're going to see is embedded in the form all over the place. So go to horse riding stance and just sort of balance yourself. Now, whenever you see a hand position like this, that hand position could be in any shape or form. It's the multiple potentialities that I was talking about from the basis. So we're going to use open hands to symbolize any hand position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with my right hand and I'm going to reach across, just like in the form when we do this movement here, we reach across. So I reach across. My left hand is now palm up underneath the elbow of my right hand. And then I'm going to bring my left hand out and pull my right hand back. and I go to left hand position. Now I go across, up, out, turn. Cross, up, out, turn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So the rotation of the palm is third. I'm blocking here, I'm blocking here, and this is a block as well, here. This is what my teacher calls the universal blocking pattern, okay? So a few more times, but a little faster. Keep going for a second. Think about 3 blocks. Keep going. Okay. The first block is here. The second block emerges from below the first block. And then the rotation happens. Across, emerge from below, rotation. Keep going. So it's surprisingly difficult, isn't it? It's amazing how simple thing. Look, right hand waves across. At the moment the right hand is on the other side of the body, the other hand is across as well. See? So one movement is this. Then this one's going to just pull in, this one's going to come out, and then the palm rotates. And then again, one motion, second motion, rotation. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep going just a little bit more. It's coming, it's getting there. Okay. Okay. Relax for a second, let your brain relax for a second. This is called the universal, my teacher calls this universal blocking pattern. Every martial art does it. Every martial art does it. This is a classic Goju karate. Classic, absolutely core to that system is this blocking pattern here. Tai Chi, we have this, the second set, right? We have 1, 2. There it is right there. 1, 2. On and on it goes. Anyway, we're going to use it, and our lower body is going to do 2 different things. It's going to either move linear or it's going to move in a circle. So we're going to start with linear. So focusing back onto your feet. Your hips are below, your feet are below your hips. Your hands are up here, saying I don't want to fight, right? The whole beginning of the form. Now, I'm going to take a step. Now, when I step, you can see my feet. I'm going to show you my feet a little better here. When I step, I'm going to allow my left foot in this case to turn out to the side slightly and bring my right foot across the cat stance. And then I'm going to step out and over to get the width I need for my stance and here. And then I do it again. And I have room for 3 steps. That's what I'm going to do. Third step. And then I'm going to step back in the same pattern. Cat stance, out, root. Cat stance, out, root. Okay, again. Put your hands up here. 1, 2, 3. Back. 1, 2, 3. And on your own, forward and back one more time. That looks good. Now, relax for a second, and I'm going to explain to the best of my ability how to combine the blocking pattern with this. In every step a person takes, there are 3 points of note in martial arts that you want to be aware of. And this represents yin, yang, and the transition between yin and yang. So if I'm here, and I want to step forward, This is considered the yin of that in that sense, because it's the furthest away that you're going to be towards where you're going. And you're going to bring your foot forward to the cat stance. And as you get to the cat stance, that's the transition between yin and yang. And then there's the extension forward, which is the yang. So you went from yin to yang, okay? 3 steps. Now, if I start here, feet shoulder width, and I step forward with my right foot initially, I put each of the 3 parts of the blocking pattern into that stepping. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have my right foot back. My left foot is in front. So I'm here. Now, my left hand is going to reach across as my right foot comes in. And then I'm going to step forward as my right hand comes forward, and then root as I rotate my hand. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then going back, it's the same thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I ran into my wall. Now, let me just point this out. Yin and yang are expressions of polarities. They're relative. So yin could be yang in a different context, and this is important to know. So in this context, the step is very straightforward because I'm going in that direction. That makes that direction the expression of yang because I'm going towards it. But of course, I can turn, and now it's suddenly not that. This is then the motion attached with that. This is an extension outwards. So the yin position has a yang extension. The transition between the two is also the transition between the feet. As my foot comes up, my hands are changing place. And then, I'm sorry, I used the wrong hands. And then this hand extends out with the foot. And then as I root, I complete the motion with the palm coming forward, which is that extension of yang towards where you're going. Okay? So I know that's very theoretical, but you can see it in a basic movement. You can start to maybe pick it out more and more because it's always happening. And one of the elements I want to point out about this is, if you were sparring with someone or you're actually defending yourself, you would want to be aware of where their weight is. And one of the things you want to do is you want to catch people as their weight is halfway forward and as it commits itself to being completely forward. Those are points where their balance is very, very vulnerable. Of course, that's a two-way street because your balance is really vulnerable when you do it as well. But the more you're aware of it in yourself, the more you perceive it in others, it just builds. Okay, so one more time, and we're really going to think about it in a martial context where there's resistance from another person with this, okay? Ready? 1, 2, and hold them back. And then stepping back, holding your ground as you do. Okay, so that's linear stepping with basic blocking pattern, universal blocking pattern. Now we're going to do Bagua stepping, which is the circle steps. And we'll get into the blocking pattern when we get into it. So first, just remember how to do the circle steps. Take a spot on the floor and see that it's the center of a point of a circle, and then see the radius or the circumference of the circle around it, and walk it so that every step is turning in towards that center point. Right? So this is your circle walking pattern. Now, put your right hand above that spot on the floor and put your left hand at your center behind you here. And as you walk that over that spot, your right hand is simply rotating in space above it. Okay, so that's the basis of it. Now, relax for a second and look up. This is your Bagua position, right? Just watch, I'm here. Now, if I turn from going on a circle to forward, I have the same position we just got to. It's just that I'm turning my body sideways. Now, the universal blocking pattern was one hand reached across, the other one came underneath the elbow, and then one emerged, and then there was a resetting simply on the other side. So if I'm doing the Bhagavad step here, I take my left hand and I go under the elbow of the right, and I do the same thing where it emerges and settles, but as I do that, I turn in the other direction. You see? So let's do this together. My right hand is up over the spot. My left foot has stepped forward. I'm going to take my left hand and put it under my right elbow and turn my body around. And then my left hand comes out as my right hand comes up. And then I settle as my hand turns, and I'm going to walk the circle the other way. Okay, so it is the same blocking pattern. It's just it seems different because the pattern of your stepping is different. Now, turn. 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 And now turn whatever you want. Keep your hands up though. Gotta keep those hands up. And try to go to the one spot on the floor though. You're not gonna move away from that spot for now. Okay, shake it up, shake it up. Shake it out if you're a little dizzy, just take a moment. It was looking pretty good, Bruno. Particularly, it looked like you had some pretty good stepping going on there. That's really good. They would actually train this traditionally in a park, and you go and you'd find a very thin tree, a very small tree with no branches. So you'd walk around the tree, and that there's so much to this. Now I want to combine those two concepts of stepping, linear and circular, with the blocking pattern, and see that it's in the form. It's embedded in the form constantly. But first, remember from the pattern that the key thing was that one hand was out and one hand was in. There was a connection from one palm to the other elbow, and then there was a transition from this hand to the other hand, and then the set, and then again, right? So that's so important. So just to give you an example, this is a very common karate move. It's called a nukate. Now, that's just this difference, right? This is the only thing that's happening that's any different. You get that posture. Tai Chi, we circle here. There's a connection really going into the elbow. What you see in a lot of positions with a lot of arts and Wing Chun positions is this connection between one hand to the elbow. And what it's doing is it's controlling your center line as you maneuver around the center. So the part of the form I want to do is in the second and the third set. If I do eagle stretches swings, 1, 2, and the third set, and I end up here, look where I am. I have my hand under my elbow and my other hand forward. It's halfway of that blocking pattern. Now, in this position, my left foot is forward. I'm going to do a bagua step, but I'm going to do a little bit less of one that is purely the circle up. I'm just going to kind of maneuver around a little bit here. And that is my push down one. Okay, so we start from here. We have the reaching out part as I step into the bagua step. And now if I do another bagua step with my left, I end up here, right? Instead of going all the way to there, I just step towards the corner and bring my hand back up again. So I have 1, 2. It's not the same order, but it is the same positioning that this was giving you. Exactly. So again, from here, 1, 2, and then the third is to step out the stance. So you can see the hand position is woven out of the sequence that we just did as a fundamental, right? Now the stepping pattern I want to talk about for a second too, because it's so interesting to me. I hope you're finding it interesting too. But if I need my helper here. if I'm dealing with an attack, there is a linear alignment to the person's center, right? So the person has a center, their movements are going to come around their center. They're not going to punch me like this unless they're being ridiculous, right? They're going to punch forward. So that means that here, I'm not just coming around to the outside, the step. What I want to do is I want to move forward and in towards the attack. I want to move around and in. You see that? Around and in, around and in. Okay? That's a combination of a linear step with a bagua step, which is the Tai Chi so special, is it's just the depth of understanding of movement is profound here. So think about that from here. Left foot forward, right hand here, left hand under right. As you step, you're not just stepping out to the side, you're not stepping out to the corner, you're stepping in and towards somebody. And then you're actually kind of doing that again as you come up to here. Okay? And if that had actually happened where it was a left punch and a right punch, I'm going to use as an example. So you guys face the camera and you do a left punch at me, and that's me moving here. Well, what that did is that brought my head closer to you, and your right hand has a clear line of sight on my nose, right? It's right there. So you throw the right, and I move up like this. And now your hand has come past me here like this, right? And your head is right there in front of me. So when I turn like this, I can actually pull down on your shoulder and your body center and pull you right down. I'm weaving in to get right inside. Okay? So if I face the camera, just watch the movement as I move towards the camera. See how close that much movement forward it was? And it was to weave around the center of the attacker. Okay? So that's enough explanation. Back to here. 5 times on your own. Out to here to finish. Again. See the attack. Weave inside and grab and pull down. Okay, 3 more times. Looks good. It's coming along. One more time. Good. So this is a lot of concepts today that I was talking about, a lot of things. Before we finish, do the last thing before we finish class. Any questions about any of that? That was a lot of information. If there's anything I want to really to encourage everyone to always remember is there's a lot of complexity here, but it's built out of very understandable foundations. And so you go back to the foundations and you go, I get that. And then later on, more and more and more of these possibilities emerge. But no human being can consciously recall every single technique that exists at any one time. It's just not possible. There's too many techniques. So yeah, you just keep coming back to this set. All right, let's finish today with, let's just go back to the first set and put all of those concepts into your mind really strongly, best you can. Draw it out of the form, let the form show you. Go very slowly through the form, okay? So from here, relax. Stepping out. And begin. Gather, draw in, push down. And then you show your respect if you want to finish the first set only or the third set. I think that runs our time up. Yeah, I'd say 55. So there's no more questions though, because I just feel like I threw a lot of information.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Right, thank
Awesome.
you, everybody.
Thank you all very much. See you all next week. Bye bye.